It was a night like no other in our small village of Mbinga. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a silver light over the thatched roofs and narrow paths. But that night, something was different. The air was thick with whispers and tension. Everyone was talking about Amina. My name is Kofi, and I've lived in Mbinga all my life. I work as a fisherman, spending most of my days on the river. But nothing could have prepared me for what I heard that night. It was the night we discovered that Amina, the most beautiful woman in the village, had slept with every man in Mbinga before getting married. Amina was a sight to behold. She had dark, smooth skin that glowed in the sunlight, eyes that sparkled with mischief, and a smile that could make even the sternest elder soften. She moved to Mbinga with her mother when she was just a child. Her mother, Maama Kazi, was a widow and a respected healer. They were welcomed into the community with open arms. As Amina grew, so did her beauty. She was kind, always helping the women with their chores and the children with their play. But it wasn't long before the men started to notice her. It seemed like every man in Mbinga wanted to be close to her, to bask in her radiant presence. The first whispers about Amina started when I was 25. I remember it clearly. I was at the market trading fish for vegetables when I overheard two women talking. They were standing by the fruit stall, their heads close together, speaking in hushed tones. "Did you hear about Amina?" one of them said. "They say she's been visiting Kwame at night." Kwame was the village carpenter, a tall and strong man who had never shown much interest in settling down. The other woman gasped and covered her mouth with her hand. "Kwame? But he's not the only one. I heard she's been seen with Juma too," she replied. Juma was the village hunter, known for his sharp eyes and steady hands. The two women continued to gossip, their voices a mixture of shock and curiosity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Amina, the sweet, kind-hearted Amina, was involved with multiple men. It didn't seem possible. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers grew louder. It seemed like every man in the village had a story about Amina. They would speak in low voices, sharing their experiences with a mix of pride and shame. One evening, as I was mending my fishing nets by the river, Kwame approached me. He sat down beside me, his face serious. "Kofi, have you heard the rumors about Amina?" he asked. I nodded, unsure of what to say. Kwame looked out at the river, his brow furrowed. "They're true," he said quietly. "She came to me one night, said she needed help with something. We ended up, well, you know." He didn't need to say more. I could see the conflict in his eyes. He wasn't proud of what had happened, but there was also something else, something that looked like regret. The turning point came when Amina's mother, Maama Kazi, fell ill. Amina was by her side day and night, caring for her with a tenderness that touched everyone's hearts. It was during this time that Amina's secret was finally revealed. One night, as Maama Kazi lay on her bed, she called for the village elders. I was there too, standing at the back of the room, watching as Amina knelt by her mother's side, holding her hand. "Elders of Mbinga," Maama Kazi began, her voice weak but clear. "I have something to confess. My daughter Amina has been trying to protect our village." The elders looked at each other in confusion. Maama Kazi took a deep breath and continued. "Many years ago, before we came to Mbinga, we lived in a village plagued by an evil spirit. This spirit would visit the men in their dreams, driving them to madness. The only way to keep the spirit at bay was through a ritual of intimacy. Amina was chosen to perform this ritual." The room fell silent. I could see the shock on everyone's faces. Maama Kazi's words hung in the air, heavy and impossible to ignore. "When we came to Mbinga, we thought we had escaped the spirit, but it followed us. Amina has been performing the ritual to protect you all, to keep the men safe from madness," she explained. The revelation shook the village to its core. People didn't know how to react. Some were angry, feeling betrayed by the secret Amina had kept. Others were sympathetic, understanding the burden she had carried for so long. Amina herself remained quiet, her eyes downcast. She didn't defend herself, didn't try to explain further. She had done what she believed was necessary, And now the truth was out. As days passed, the village slowly began to heal. The men who had been with Amina spoke up, sharing their experiences and how they had felt during their encounters. Many of them admitted that they had felt a strange sense of peace afterward, a calmness that had eluded them before. The women of the village, who had initially felt hurt and betrayed, began to see Amina in a different light. They realized the sacrifice she had made, the burden she had carried alone. Gradually, they reached out to her, offering their support and forgiveness. One day, as I was walking by the river, I saw Amina sitting on a rock, staring at the water. I approached her, unsure of what to say. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and relief. "Kofi," she said softly, "do you think they'll ever truly forgive me?" I sat down beside her and took her hand in mine. "Amina, they already have. It will take time, but the village understands now. You did what you thought was right, and they respect you for that." Life in Mbinga slowly returned to normal. The whispers about Amina faded, replaced by stories of her bravery and sacrifice. She continued to care for her mother and help the villagers, but something had changed. She was no longer the woman burdened by a secret. She was Amina, the protector of Mbinga. One day, a man named Malik arrived in the village. He was a trader from a distant land, tall and strong, with a gentle demeanor. He was immediately captivated by Amina's beauty and kindness. Unlike the other men, he didn't seem to be drawn to her by some unseen force. He was simply drawn to her. Malik stayed in Mbinga, getting to know the villagers and helping where he could. He spent time with Amina, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. It wasn't long before he asked for her hand in marriage. The village gathered for the wedding, a celebration of new beginnings and forgiveness. As Amina walked down the aisle, her eyes met Malik's, and for the first time in a long while, she felt truly happy. Years passed, and Amina and Malik built a life together. They had children, and their home was filled with love and laughter. Amina continued to be a pillar of strength in the village, her past no longer a burden, but a testament to her resilience and courage. The story of Amina became a legend in Mbinga, a tale passed down through generations. It was a story of sacrifice, love, and the power of forgiveness. And through it all, Amina remained a symbol of strength, a reminder that even in the face of the darkest secrets, there is always a path to redemption. As I sit here by the river, watching the sun set over Mbinga, I can't help but think of Amina and the journey she took. She faced judgment and misunderstanding, yet she never wavered in her duty to protect the ones she loved. Her story is one that will be remembered for generations, a reminder of the strength of the human spirit and the power of forgiveness. And so, the tale of Amina, the woman who slept with every man in the village before getting married, is not just a story of scandal. It's a story of love, sacrifice, and the enduring strength of a woman who gave everything to protect her village. And in the end, she found the happiness and acceptance she deserved.